the past, I've talked about the importance of simply getting started on something. You know, it's like that decision to start working on a project or an idea or anything really that's just been kind of tugging on you. And sometimes you see something or you hear something or you might even have a conversation with someone, and that conversation reminds you about this idea, this thing, and then you find yourself saying, man, I gotta get started on that. I remember saying that you just have to get started, start somewhere. And while this is very true, I've recently come to realize that I think there's something else, something that's even more challenging than getting started. Finishing.
I think it's safe to say that stories have been such an important part of our lives since the beginning of time. In fact, they say that about a third of Jesus' teaching was through stories, parables. And some people tell their stories through books, through writing, some through music, and others through movies. As a visual artist, I tell my stories through illustration and painting. Whether it's animated or not, I think that illustration can very much so tell a story and evoke some sort of emotion from the viewer. But unfortunately, I think that a lot of stories are just never told. And I think it's not because we're incapable of creating them, but I think it's because the idea itself never left the artist's mind and onto the paper. It never made that transition from the mind to the paper. I think that comes out of procrastination, to get down and start sketching out your idea, writing out your idea. And I think it comes out of a fear of being criticized for the imperfections in your story. And so what we end up doing is that we spend so much time trying to get every detail just right. We want to make sure that it's absolutely perfect before we can release that story into the world. And so then we sit there and we work on it, we rework stuff, we wait, we overthink the idea, and we just keep holding on to this thing. It's like we're chasing the illusion of perfection. It's really sad because I think that we fail to realize that actually what people really connect with, the stories and characters that people actually connect with, are the ones that are imperfect. Because in many ways, I think we often see ourselves in that. That just makes us so much more powerful. You know, God in His Word spoke to us through 12 very imperfect men. And again, I think that's why we connect with that so well. So I really want to encourage you today, and believe me, I'm preaching to myself here. Your idea doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be finished. And then after it's finished, you need to share it. Because ideas and stories were meant to be shared. This reminds me of a Bible scripture, Luke 8:16, that reads, "No one lights a lamp and then covers it or hides it under a bed. A lamp is placed on a stand where its light can be seen." And so I believe that stories are the same. The things that we create are the same. But here's the thing, you can't finish a story that you haven't started. And even more importantly, your story, again, I tell my stories through drawings and sketches. Your story can't make an impact if you're hiding it within the pages of your sketchbook. So I really want to encourage you again, just release your story with all of its imperfections, with all of its perfect imperfections. The only stories that aren't heard are the stories that aren't told. The stories, the sketches that you don't finish and share. So start it, finish it, and share it. Keep the fire alive, my friends. I think that's pretty good.